Shadow Moltres reaches the last second ancient power, but unfortunately not enough to knock out. Now it's all down to Ho-Oh to clean up Ho-Oh. Gonna be investing in the final protection, blocking up the incoming Dragon Claw. Ho-Oh gets that Incinerate farm down, and we really need something we can nuke. Ask and you shall receive. Out comes Exadrill, and it's time to hit him with that bang. There it is. As always, shout out to one of the OGs, Oxford U, for that quote. Come on, buddy. It's been 3 months since your last upload. You are long overdue a YouTube return. So welcome back to the channel. What can I say other than today we are going to be featuring some battles that can only be from one trainer, my favourite battler in the world, the one and only xboston. xboston is an absolute spice lord, speaking of which he can back that statement up as he is the reigning and defending Callum on Toast Battle of Spice champion. We are in the dying days of the season, so of course this team is for your entertainment purpose only and not a team I recommend for climbing or recommend whatsoever. Firstly, it'd cost you over 2 million dust to build, and of course coverage gaps are here, there and everywhere. xboston loves a meme team and he loves a theme team, and I think today we've kind of ticked both boxes. We've got a triple flying, triple shadow, double fire flying strategy or something like that in the Open Master League. I don't really know what to say other than without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we have found ourselves a big problem, and its name is Palkia. The opponent running Dragon Tail, and these Dragon Tails tearing through Staraptor. Thankfully, the opponent throws on alignment, giving us a free quick attack. We really need to make back-to-back flies, and I guess we really need the opponent to at least tank one. We fire off the first, the opponent invests that protection. Staraptor looks to reach the second, and we still get Dragon Tail farm down, despite getting the free quick attack. Oh boy, how do we win this game? Both our fire flying types are using fire type quick moves, which are going to be double resisted by Palkia's Dragon Water typing. Boston's already enough, and he's going to say, yeah, we're just going to move swiftly on. Heading into the next battle, we see Marshadow in the lead. Despite us being a flying type and then being a fighter, the opponent is double resisting our quick move. We fire off the fly. Fly forces us an early shield advantage, and these sucker punches are absolutely tearing through our non-existent HP stat. Staraptor already very deep in the red, but Boston happy to invest a protect shield, looking to force the opponent all shields down or pick up the clean one shot. Staraptor wins the one shield. We see the instant pivot into Moltres. The opponent temporarily sent out Dialga, and then out comes Xerxes. I thought we were running some spies. This opponent also somewhat of a spice lord. Today's team has a whole heap of shared weaknesses, including a triple weakness to electric. Electric types are quite few and far between in the Master League, but of course we've managed to find ourselves one here. Despite the type disadvantage matchup for Moltres, Moltres able to get Xerxes into the red health range. We send out Ho-Oh, able to get the Incinerate farm down before the opponent reaches the next discharge. Just Dialga remains, but Shadow Ho-Oh about to vanquish this tin can back to its Pokeball. The Sacred Fire near picks up the one shot, one further Incinerate, gets the farm down, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Solgaleo in the lead. Boston has two better responses in the back, but he's opting to stay in, at least temporarily. The opponent going to fire off the Psychic Fangs. My god, Staraptor, where is your bulk, buddy? We withstand the damage, return fire with the close combat. Close combat hits for neutral, and a lot of neutral damage at that. We then see the pivot into Moltres. Once again, the opponent looking to apply that debuff effect. They fire off the Psychic Fang, then send out Groudon. Trainer, that is by no means a good Moltres answer. Boston gonna fire off the Sky Attack. Sky Attack forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. If the opponent's got no answer for a fire flying type, we could be in business. The opponent actually goes for the Fire Punch bait as well, which is a huge mistake. We're able to withstand the damage, reach the Sky Attack. Sky Attack forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and it sets up Ho-Oh with a 2-0 shield advantage. Boston actually looks to send out Staraptor, looking to force the energy before the Firebird of Death enters the arena. Down goes Staraptor. The opponent pivots back out into Solgaleo. Solgaleo gets farm down and essentially just gives us free farm. The opponent opts to send back out Groudon. Boston with 2 Protect Shields, unwilling to shield up the Precipice Blaze. That is single resisted, but still does half our health. Ho-Oh gets that full Incinerate farm down. Out comes yet another basic bitch tin can. You already know how this one's going to go. Sacred Fire near picks up the knockout. Boston able to Incinerate farm down and even get a 2 shield flex in the process. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, I think we actually win lead here. I'm going to say I think, because we do double resist their quick move. They double resist ours, but at least we have the ability to hit for neutral with these flies, whereas the opponent's probably going to be completely walled unless they've got Dragon Pulse. I say unless this is the Wild West Elo, I have no idea what the opponent could be running. Thankfully, they don't have Dragon Pulse. Boston withstood the Shadow Ball, which didn't look double resisted if I'm being brutally honest. It actually looks like 2 resisted Shadow Balls would be enough to knock us out, but thankfully the opponent goes for the ominous win. Staraptor withstands the damage, reaches 1 further fly. This fly gets Giratina deep into the red, and Staraptor's actually found a matchup it's very good into, getting Giratina to a sliver of HP and obtaining our shield advantage. Boston sends out Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh gets that Incinerate farm down. The opponent like, nah, not for me, and concede the match. In the next battle, we found ourselves another problem, a Legacy Dragontail Gyarados. Again, the opponent throws on alignment. These battles are at slightly lower elo. Of course, Boston running an absolute nonsense team, so what do you expect? However, if you're going to look to climb an elo, using a 3-turn move into a 2-turn move, you should always throw on an odd number. Boston throws the correct 4 quick attacks and the next fly, only giving the opponent 1 free turn and gets Gyarados very deep into the red. Boston attempts to quick attack farm down, unfortunately unable to get it. Gyarados leaves with a charge move to bank. Boston clicks the no shield, and the opponent actually went for a blind crunch, which is very advantageous for us. We find ourselves yet another problem. Out comes Dragonite Boston, YOLO's the Brave Bird. Brave Bird forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and we pivot into Moltres. Boston is running Ancient Power to give us some much needed flying coverage on this team. However, in this matchup, as Sky Attack has been reworked, Sky Attack actually does slightly more damage than Ancient Power. Boston fires off the Ancient Power. You can see that actually doesn't get the job done. If we would have committed to the Sky Attack, I think we would have knocked out. Boston sends out Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh shields at the Dragon Claw, and we really need to see something we can nuke. Ho-Oh gets that full Incinerate farm down. Out comes Excadrill Blink, and you might miss it. This Steel Maul going to be straight in and straight out. Sacred Fire picks up that one shot, and we take that game. Despite Boston running an absolute crazy team, that was not hand-selected battles. That was a straight set where we went 4-1. In the next battle, we see Rhyperior in the lead. In theory, somewhat of a problem, although as we're running triple flyers, they're running Mud Slaps, so the Mud Slaps are going to be double resisted by the entirety of our team. The opponent farms up to the Rock Wrecker. Boston, like a savage, calls the bait. The opponent fire off the Breaking Swipe. We return fire with the close combat, rocking them down to around a quarter health. Boston actually going to invest to protect you, blocking up the next Breaking Swipe. Boston then banks the close combat, pivots into Moltres, and out comes Kyogre. Kyogre going to commit to that full waterfall farm down at Moltres, going to fire off a Sky Attack, doing some much needed chip damage. Sky Attack gets the opponent down to around a third health. This Kyogre still going to be a huge problem for us, especially with a shield disadvantage. Boston sends out Ho-Oh. Yeah, you've got to shield this Boston, but I think they're going to reach another. Can they reach the next Surf? Boston trying to switch out. Switch timer isn't quite up. Surf easily going to pick up the one shot. And once again, we found something that just completely overwhelms our team. Previously, we saw Boston go for that 2-shield flex, and it looks like the opponent looking to return the favour. Out comes Florges. The opponent doesn't shield the close combat. Fair win farm us down, and they take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Garchomp in the lead. I guess with most leads, I'm just going to say this is lost. The opponent opts to go straight for their Sand Tomb, which I guess is advantageous for us, as we will be able to withstand the damage and get off a charge move. But after this, we really need to pivot, or we're just giving the opponent free farm. Fly goes unshielded, and that does a lot of damage, to be honest, considering Garchomp has an enormous stat product. Boston does pivot, sending out Moltres. Moltres very quickly falls victim of the Sand Tomb debuff, and my god, Boston, throw something! Them Dragon Tails are doing ridiculous damage. Moltres looks even glassier than Staraptor, dare I say it. This game might not actually be over. We just need Ho-Oh to carry the team on its back. Hopefully Togekiss and another Fairy type, a Steel type, just something we are very good into. Boston farms up, makes a Savage Catch, back onto Staraptor, keeping 2 shields intact. Back out comes Ho-Oh. The opponent sends out Metagross, and this is definitely winnable. Boston fires off the Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire forces the first Protect Shield. This opponent doesn't want to lose with 2 shields. Boston shield. No, we're going to tank this move. Meteor Mash is resisted. We've got 2 shields. I personally would have used one, but Boston's like, nah. We're going for yet another 2 shield flex. I really hope we haven't found our lose con. We need to tank that charm and 2 further charms, and we have a minuscule amount of HP. Whew. We make the Brave Bird. Boston, you are going to give me a bloody anxiety attack, mate. GG's, but ever the entertainer. Heading into the next battle. Well, that's a yikes lead if I ever did see one. Last time we were victim of the opponent 2 shield flexing on us when we saw Kyogre, but at least this time we see it in the lead. It's kind of mad that our Kyogre counter is Shadow Staraptor. The opponent does us a huge favour, not only tanking the first move, but allowing us to reach the second. Come on, trainer, just let it go. Of course, as the opponent has quite a lot of energy, they're not willing to let that go, but Staraptor has managed to get this thing deep into the red. Boston sends out Ho-Oh. The opponent throws an awful time in. That Incinerate definitely isn't knocking them out, so they should have just thrown one further Waterfall. Despite the opponent throwing a dreadful time, and they're actually able to reach the double surf. Boston double shields Ho-Oh, does get the Incinerate farm down, leaving with a lot of energy but no shields to hide behind. This is double charm. Let's go. This is going to be a win. Sacred Fire near picks up the one-shot Ho-Oh. Banks the Brave Bird. We then snipe with Moltres. Show us that second charmer. Okay, it's not a second charmer, but it is something that our fire flying types are going to be very good into. Kyogre double charm is like the most BS fucking line I've ever seen. Unfortunately, if you play Master League, you'll know that is a thing and it's fairly common. The opponent fires off the Precipice Blades. Precipice Blades doesn't get the job done. Boston gonna fire off the Ancient Power. Ancient Power actually KOs through the Protect Shield as the opponent was probably on 1 HP. Even a block charge move does do 1 HP worth of damage, and we take that game. In the next battle, again we see Rhyperior in the lead. With this opponent again farming up to the Rock Wrecker, we see the instant shield deployed. Boston loves his Shadow Pokemon, and he knows, like I know, people love to bait Shadow Pokemon, especially these really glassy ones like Staraptor. Like, honestly, who's going to full send a Rock Wrecker against the Staraptor in the Master League? Nobody! As you can tell, singing not really my forte. Although I didn't actually do backing vocals. When I was younger, I used to be a guitarist in a band, but we are getting mad distracted. Out comes our nemesis, Palkia. Boston, able to fire off the Sacred Fire. We look to fire off the Brave Bird, but lose CMP. Can Ho-Oh withstand an Aqua Tail from this range? Yes, we can. Please, trainer. Please, I beg of you, let this go. Brave Bird! Whew, goes unshielded. Back out comes Staraptor. Staraptor looks to fire off the Fly, but loses CMP. This is actually going to be such a difficult double resisted fire spin farm down, but I guess you can look at this one of two ways. We're going to get an enormous amount of farm, despite them being quite deep in the red and come out of a lot of energy. Boston still has Ho-Oh as a potential third shield. Back out comes Rhyperior. Boston just going to fire off the Ancient Power, looking to move them from the field of play or potentially get a boost. Boston does make the catch, back onto Ho-Oh. Unfortunately, no overheats. We kind of lack a bit of closing power with our Moltres. Speaking of which, eek, that is not what we want to see. Everything charged with wise is going to be resisted. Boston fired off the Ancient Power. The opponent able to withstand the fire spins, reached the Meteor Mash, and we are going to take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Zacian in the lead. I'm going to put this on the list of core breakers. This thing likely has Wild Charge, which is something that I think all three of our Pokemon are going to take enormous damage from. I actually think Staraptor won't tank one. We don't even tank a neutral player off, so we're not off to the best start. Boston completely sacks Staraptor, sends out Ho-Oh. The opponent actually farms up a boatload of energy and then send out Groudon, and that is one of the strangest counter swaps I've ever seen. Of course, a fire flying type will resist everything in Groudon's moveset, so I guess in this situation I personally would just stay in with Zacian. You don't always have to pivot just because your opponent did. Although in fairness, that Precipice Blade didn't look resisted on Moltres. I think anything you throw at Moltres is going to hurt due to just how glassy we are. Sky Attack picks up the knockout, back out. Comes Zacian. Zacian doesn't commit to the style farm down again. Full sending a player off. What is that second move? Please shield Boston, please. Good lad. Again, that is just a play rough, so potentially close combat. But as we got 2 shields, I definitely think investing one there was a very wise decision. Out comes Necrozma. Oh baby, this game is signed, sealed and delivered. If I was the opponent, I'd be reaching for that top left, but clearly the opponent wants that work. Boston about to give it to him. Boston shields at the Dark Poles. We've got that Sacred Fire bank. It's going to be high Necrozma, buy Necrozma. Remove yourself from my screen and we take that game. And that is going to wrap things up for set number 2 in today's 3-set shoutcast, with Boston somehow once again going positive. In the next battle, we see Ho-Oh in the lead. I wonder if Boston's going to try his luck and making a very cheeky Sacred Fire catch. Boston stays in, fires off the Fly, force that Protect Shield, and there is the attempted catch. The opponent could be going for a Brave Bird and dip, but Boston thankfully does catch the Sacred Fire, which certainly didn't look all that resisted. I can't believe we're seeing another Marsh Shadow enter the field of play. How are people maxing this thing out? You're going to have to invest a whole heap of XL rare candy, although to be fair, not that I know what this thing maxes out at, but I imagine it's probably over level 40. Boston forces the final Protect Shield with the Sky Attack and sends back out Staraptor. We shield at the Ice Punch. Boston, not messing around, going straight for the fly, looking to remove Marsh Shadow from the field of play. Down goes Marsh Shadow. We see the pivot into Ho-Oh, and then we see the mirror. I imagine the opponent's going to Brave Bird, looking to force out a final Protect Shield, or do big damage, and then reveal their third. The opponent does reveal their third. Out comes Xerneas. Xerneas does have access to Thunder, although it's pretty uncommon. If this thing doesn't have Thunder, this is going to be G to the G. This is kind of the Wild West elo, so who knows what they're running. Thankfully, it's only a close combat, which we easily withstand, leaving with the Brave Bird, and Brave Bird is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Staraptor into Primarina. If this thing's on Waterfall, I think we're about to get swept. Thankfully, it's on Charm, so at least our two fire types will resist that quick move, although they are going to be dealing resisted damage in return. Boston fires off the Fly forces the Protect Shield, and we see the pivot into Moltres. Moltres certainly going to have to respect a potential Hydro Cannon, as that will easily one-shot the opponent farming up a boatload of energy. We fire off the Ancient Power, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Boston, I was going to say, going to completely sack Moltres, but the opponent actually went for the Disarming Voice bait. I have no idea what's going on here. I'll be honest, Ancient Power picks up the knockout, and Boston still has a 2-0 shield advantage. The opponent sends out Mewtwo, which is certainly a Pokemon I'd not recommend saving no Protect Shields for. Mewtwo, very hard hitting, very spammy, but cannot tank a hit for shit. I guess that's a similarity it shares with our good old boy Staraptor over here. Staraptor used as the damage sponge, looking to force some energy. We send that Ho-Oh, a 2-0 shield advantage. Out comes Dialga. Ho-Oh about to make quick work of it. Sacred Fire picks up that one shot. The opponent still playing the inevitable out, but this game is already signed, sealed, and delivered. Boston gonna shield at the side strike. Fire off the Brave Bird, and Brave Bird easily gonna pick up that one hit KO with Ho-Oh sweeping the backline. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we lead Staraptor into Zekrom. Zekrom, probably the most common electric type in the Master League, although Zekrom very much operates as a dragon type attacker. Boston stays in, goes to the close combat. Close combat does some pretty reasonable damage, and then we see the pivot into Moltres. Moltres definitely going to be respecting the potential Fusion Bolt. The opponent opts to the crunch, which is a pretty smart play, as the opponent knows we're likely going to be looking to shield, and it does come with a 30% chance to debuff our defense. Our Moltres save switch is answered by Landorus. Landorus opts to shield up the Ancient Power, and they are going to need to full send a Stone Edge to remove us from the field of play. Boston says, enjoy yourself, trainer. I dare you to throw the Stone Edge. And the opponent like, thanks, I will. And we get one shot vanquished back to our Pokeball. Boston now sends out Ho-Oh. These Incinerates doing crazy damage. Boston looks to make the catch. Please tell me we caught the Stone Edge. The opponent actually go for the Santia Storm bait, then send out Togekiss, but this is just switch locking Togekiss against our oppressive fire type. Ho-Oh able to outpace to the Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire forces the final protection. This kind of puts Boston in a very tricky spot. Fusion Bolt probably going to one-shot us. Well, I say probably, it will one-shot us. Ancient Power, double super effective. A Stone Edge, double super effective. What can we shield? We opt to shield at the Ancient Power. Boston goes to the Sacred Fire, goes for a very nice undercharge. But of course, that range, anything we throw, will be moving them from the field of play. Back out comes Landorus. Landorus gets farmed down. Zekrom doesn't want the smoke. I thought we were toast, but Boston manages to emerge victorious. GG's. Heading into the final battle, I know someone would have posted, what do you do against Melmetal? I'm going to tell you, I think the answer is just lose, but let's see. Boston fires off the close combat. Close combat forces us an early shield advantage. Despite having two fire types in the back, as the opponent's got access to double super effective Rock Slide, I wouldn't say it's an advantageous matchup for either of them. You can see Melmetal actually tanks these Fire Spins very, very well. And Fire Spin's actually been buffed like twice now as well. We see Boston deploy his first Protect Shield, blocking up the first Rock Slide. He then fires off the Ancient Power. Ancient Power goes unshielded. And again, we see no boost luck. Boston just going to completely sack Moltres. And hope Ho-Oh with a Protect Shield can sweep the backline. Out comes Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh looks for the Incinerate farm down. The opponent shows us Kyogre. We're going to say no thank you and concede the match. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's Shoutcast. Boston, without a doubt, buddy, you are the only trainer in the world that would run this insanity in the Master League. I'll be honest, I haven't really enjoyed this season too much. I think the game's been full of glitches. Whenever I'm feeling pretty down about it, I can just hop onto Discord, check out the battle shorts, and some of the madness you run always brings a smile to my face. I always appreciate you, buddy. But if you appreciate my content, consider leaving a like or subscribing if you're new. If you like your battles featured on my channel, link to Battles Feature Form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.